No, you went for erupts.
Get off! Get off! Get off! Oh, fuck you! Get off! Get off! I want to say listen, can you
for several years.
Pretend it never happened. That'd be tough. That'd be tough. If I could, no, I don't think I could do that. Even if I was absolutely fucking shit scared, I couldn't pretend it never happened.
I knew about it.
I don't know where you are in the world, but we've had a terrible year. I don't want to be that bloke that complains, but it's been...
Picture this: a teenager in handcuffs, police swarming a McDonald's, and Ricky Gervais blasting the government for turning Britain into a parody of justice. The crime? Buying a Big Mac after 5 p.m. This actually happened, leaving the public wondering how a country once proud of fairness and common sense could descend into such absurdity. While violent criminals and predators roam with little interference, the full weight of Starmer's policing fell on a schoolgirl whose only mistake was being hungry at the wrong time. Officials claimed they were establishing a national capability across police forces to tackle violent disorder, but for Gervais, this was proof the system is broken. A Britain where ordinary citizens, even children, are treated like enemies of the state while real threats are ignored. This wasn't policing to keep people safe, it was policing to control, to send a message. And that message has shaken the country.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. You will not get George Clooney or Steven Spielberg or anyone doing this shit like I do. Never. Maybe once.
For years, Ricky Gervais kept politics at arm's length, preferring to focus on comedy, animal rights, and calling out everyday hypocrisy. But this arrest broke through that distance. It wasn't abstract policy anymore, it was raw injustice playing out in the most absurd way possible. A teenage girl treated like a hardened criminal over a fast food curfew. Gervais seized the moment because it exposed something far bigger. Starmer's Britain has created what many now see as a two-tier justice system. On one side, law-abiding citizens face the full force of the state for petty, almost laughable infractions. On the other, real threats, from violent gangs to predatory networks, slip through with little interference. This was a line that could not be ignored. His voice cut through the noise by framing the incident not as a minor misstep, but as a symbol of everything wrong with government priorities. If entire squads of police can be sent to rough up a child in McDonald's, while whole neighbourhoods live in fear of untouched criminals, the system isn't just flawed, it's upside down. When Starmer pledged tougher patrols and stronger neighbourhood policing, many expected safer streets, faster responses to violent crime, and real crackdowns on those terrorising communities instead. The reality is very different. Promises of stronger policing have led to officers swarming a McDonald's to detain a teenage girl, while serious crimes, gangs, burglaries, predators continue unchecked. Targeting a child over a curfew shows misplaced priorities. Force is used where it's easiest, not where it's needed. Starmer's Britain ends up with more police on the streets, but less real safety. Feelings are running high. The violence left 8 police officers injured.
We will always facilitate peaceful protest. We will also always make sure that the voice of our community is heard. What we will not tolerate is those random acts of violence that we saw last night.
Arrests have already been made. When outrage breaks out, Starmer's instinct is rarely to engage directly. He stays silent until public anger boils over, and even then his words tend to deflect responsibility. In this case, the message was clear. If people dislike the way things are run, they are free to leave Britain. That line says it all. Instead of fixing policy flaws or showing concern for families caught in the crossfire, the solution he offered was exile. In Starmer's Britain, it is not leadership that must change, It is the people who must adapt or go for figures like Ricky Gervais. This posture defines arrogance. A leader's job is to protect citizens, not dismiss them as disposable. Silence in the face of injustice, followed by a cold shrug, reinforces the perception that Starmer governs from a distance, insulated from everyday struggles outside Westminster. Meanwhile, across Britain, entire districts live under the shadow of gangs, grooming networks, and armed criminals. Families know which streets to avoid, and even some police admit there are neighbourhoods patrols won't enter. These are the places where protection is most needed, yet under Starmer, they remain neglected. Instead, resources are used against ordinary people. A schoolgirl in McDonald's is an easy target. A 12-year-old waving a flag at school is an easy target. These are offences the system punishes because they don't risk headlines about migration, rising crime, or integration failures. This is why Ricky Gervais's criticism struck a chord. The Big Mac arrest was more than absurd. It symbolised a policing system turned upside down. Where courage is needed, there is silence. Where restraint is needed, there is force. The result, a two-tier system, leniency for real threats, zero tolerance for those who pose none.
Did you murder that person the other night? Yeah. What? Let me just take. What? Yes. Okay. I'm going to call the police now. I'd be hard to tricks. Oh my God. Well, I don't know. I mean...
As if one schoolgirl's humiliation weren't enough, another incident quickly followed, this time in the classroom. During a school culture day meant to celebrate heritage, a 12-year-old proudly wore a Union Jack dress. She had even prepared a speech about British traditions, the ritual of tea drinking, the national obsession with weather, and the courtesy and politeness that once defined the country. But she never got the chance to speak. Teachers pulled her aside, labelled her outfit inappropriate, and isolated her until her father was called to collect her. The offence? Wearing the flag of her own country in her own country on a day designed to embrace diversity. The hypocrisy was glaring. Every other culture could be celebrated freely, yet the majority culture was treated as something shameful. Her father later described the experience as nothing short of discrimination. A clear message was sent to his daughter. Her identity was unwelcome in the very place meant to nurture it. For many parents, this was a chilling example of how institutions now bend over backwards to avoid offending outsiders while undermining the confidence of British children in their own heritage. These incidents are not random, they form part of a growing pattern. Ordinary citizens shamed, silenced, or punished for expressing identities and freedoms that once defined British life. A child arrested over a burger, another humiliated for wearing her nation's flag. These are not isolated embarrassments, they are warning signs of a society being reshaped from the ground up. The strategy is subtle but effective. Each episode sends a signal: speak out, stand tall, or step out of line, and the system will come down on you, not the real criminals. Over time, these small humiliations accumulate and people stop questioning. Communities grow cautious. Children learn early that pride in their own culture can be a liability, not a strength. Ricky Gervais points out that this is how authoritarian systems tighten their grip, not through sudden crackdowns, but by slowly eroding rights, brick by brick. By targeting those easiest to intimidate, the government spreads a culture of fear into everyday life. Yet the more ordinary voices are silenced, the louder figures like Gervais become, refusing to let this new normal go unchallenged. At the heart of his outrage is a principle bigger than politics: human rights and free speech. For him, the right to speak freely, question authority, and live without fear for harmless expression is not a luxury, it is the foundation of a free society. These incidents strike a nerve: a teenager detained over food, another shamed for wearing her nation's flag, show how far the state has drifted from that foundation. Free speech is being redefined as conditional, granted only to those who follow the approved line, while the rest face shame, intimidation, or worse. Gervais refuses to accept this. His platform allows him to speak freely, highlighting the creeping authoritarianism that ordinary people face in daily humiliations. Comedy and activism overlap for him. By ridiculing the absurdities of Starmer's Britain, he exposes truths politicians would rather bury. He has become a lightning rod for those who feel the system closing in. When governments police the harmless while ignoring the dangerous, something fundamental breaks. Trust in institutions fades, and people stop seeing the law as serving justice, instead viewing it as a tool of control. Britain is sliding in that direction under Starmer's watch. Every case, a schoolgirl manhandled in a fast food restaurant or another shamed for wearing the Union Jack, chips away at public faith, sending a signal that loyalty to the ruling party matters more than loyalty to the people. That is why voices like Gervais's matter. He is not just mocking the government, he gives voice to frustrations millions feel but are too afraid to express. In doing so, he forces the nation to confront how far it has strayed from its principles. What was once unthinkable, police storming a McDonald's to cuff a teenager, has become reality. What was once celebrated, wearing the Union Jack, has become forbidden. Freedom erodes not in one blow, but through a series of small humiliations, each making the next easier to accept. Speaking out now matters, because if silence becomes the norm, the Britain inherited by future generations will be unrecognisable. The choice is stark. Either challenge this trend while voices like Gervais's are still loud enough to rally resistance, or continue down a path where fear replaces freedom and obedience replaces identity. There's more happening beneath the surface than most realise. Subscribe and stay tuned for the stories others won't tell.